Friends, we practice an administration-centric and teacher-centric education in our schools and colleges. It can only make the children learn what the teacher wants, and that too to only an extent that the teacher knows. The examiners, being what they are, or the examinations being what they are, do not test competency-based skills, but rather an ability to reproduce answers to a few pre-qualified questions. Seldom neither the less than nor the ineffective assessments can build logical reasoning or analytical skills so essential for making a contented life out in the open. Now, how does one build these skills? This Saturday, let's explore some methods to build such skills. Friends, is it not time the education paradigm is reinvented to make learning fun and gamify the teaching learning pedagogies? Gamification is about applying the game mechanics to increase user engagement, happiness and loyalty. Our children are captive to a completely bland education that is neither inspiring nor effective. Neither values nor employment skills are given. Values are imbibed through a host of factors like the life in the school or college, influence of peers, family, and so on. Ethics, values and cultural norms and differences are also imbibed through storytelling, where a teacher can share and interpret experiences, but they are hardly practiced today. Learning in social environments was the basis thousands of years ago. Be it in universities of the past, like Nalanda and Takshila, or the wisdom that passed from the acharyas to their disciples. They stressed on one-to-one and one-to-many debates that were based on sound reasoning leading to logical conclusions. An essential part of the logic building was an understanding of mathematics, a study of numbers, shapes and patterns rooted in science, knowledge and learning. Through mathematics, they could resolve truth and falsify conjectures and sometimes even predict future. The Konark Sun Temple is a living embodiment of beauty, art, architecture, culture and truth. The chariot's 12 pairs of wheels correspond to 12 months of the Hindu calendar. Each month paired into either Shukla Paksha or Krishna Paksha. The history of measurement systems was prevalent in India since the early 5th century. Binary and decimal systems are freely used by them as units of measurements. Who would not know Jantar Mantha, an observatory constructed by Maharaja Jai Singh of Jaipur in 1724 to accumulate astronomical tables, which in turn would help predict the time and movement of the celestial bodies such as the sun, moon and other planets. Could they build it without highly exalted levels of understanding mathematics? Surely Thomas Macaulay and his argument that Western learning was superior and could only be taught through the medium of English was both positively arrogant and misplaced. Ancient studies were essentially done in Sanskrit as a medium of instruction. Yajurveda, Rigveda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda, they are all rooted in Sanskrit literature and ancient scriptures of Hinduism. Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti from the Upanishads extols us to pursue truth, synonymous with life and living. All worldly work skills flowed from that truth. Unfortunately, 200 years of British rule not only promoted English as a medium of instruction, but completely annihilated the use of Sanskrit. They did not support our tradition of learning in native Sanskrit, nor in the native languages. By promoting English as a language of administration, they saw to it that returning back ever to the roots was completely blocked. This also led to some history and culture being destroyed, obliterated. There cannot be any greater disservice to a community than killing its cultural ethos. The oldest religion, Hinduism, and along with it, its rich learning pedagogies were thus marginalized. Let's make a case to resurrect the old wisdom and learning, at least in part. That argument calls for a rethink in learning mathematics and the way we teach it. Needless to say, the current system has put off many children completely off the learning curve. Who knows, we may still produce Ramanujam's brilliance all over again. For does not the Indian mathematics extend much beyond the discovery of zero and Aryabhatta? There is much more than that. Why cannot we start with learning the ancient mathematics? The simplicity of it allows us to calculate mentally, which can bring back the fun quotient in education, in learning mathematics. This is not a debate of religion and its practices. It's not even whether Atharva Veda had an appendix of mathematical sutras or not. It is not even a debate whether Krishna Tirtha, who was credited with discovering the 16 sutras and sub-sutras and so on, was a good mathematician or not. His credentials were a gifted oratory in Sanskrit and Vedanta philosophy. MA degree in Sanskrit with other subjects like English, history, philosophy, mathematics and science, awarded by the American College of Sciences in Rochester, New York, from its Bombay center. Great credentials indeed. The ancient or Vedic mathematics has algorithms for a whole number multiplication and division, fraction, conversion to repeating decimal numbers, calculations with measures of mixed units, summation of a series, squares, square roots, cubes, and divisibility by oscillation. Even linear equations, analytic cones, the equation for the asymptotes, and the equation to the conjugate hyperbola are possible to be solved. Physics, astronomy, and trigonometry are all possible by writing the numbers and observing the patterns. The 16 sutras and the sub-sutras are simple and involve additions and subtractions most of the time. In fact, multiplication, division and all other associated with it are actually a series of additions and subtractions. The 16 sutras are even consistent with several numerical methods credited to Newton that are so useful in writing algorithms and code for the computers. Even convergence of numerical methods can be ensured by following the sutras. Should we just dismiss them as cheap tricks? Indeed, guided research into them is called for. Maybe there are many more sutras to be discovered. Our institutions and universities must make a start. Our policy makers in Shastri Bhavan can hold them, handhold them. Let's not follow the notorious Zoharianism and the DHMO parody, which is a mindful twisting of simple facts to confuse people, allowing them to believe logically into what may be actually untrue. Dihydrogen monoxide was shown as toxic through a series of scientifically correct evidence and was recommended for a ban. The truth is that it is not toxic at all. Dihydrogen monoxide is water. H2O, DHMO is simply water. Let's not play into the chemophobia and how a lack of scientific literacy can lead to misplaced fears. Let's not make a DHMO out of our ancient mathematical skills. Instead, let's start learning Vedic mathematics in our schools and colleges. Friends, that is for this Saturday. Until we meet the next Saturday, and thank you, dhanyavad and namaskar.